The 8 News Now investigators telling you for several weeks now about a mysterious object of unknown origin that fell from the sky and crashed just near Area 51. And tonight, the public is still in the dark.
So that crash was quickly covered up, both literally and figuratively. 8 News Now Chief Investigator George Knapp thinks the official story, as told by the military, is false.
And we are lucky because George joins us here in the studio with more on what he's now dug up. George.
Well, how quickly might the government respond to a crash of an unknown object? What happened back on September 23rd on public land outside the boundary of Area 51 is a textbook example of how crash retrievals work. And to no one's surprise, pretty much everything told to the public since then is pure fiction.
You can see this in F-18.
Scanners and computers inside this room listen to and record radio traffic inside Area 51 round the clock. On the morning of September 23rd, York Arnu heard some astonishing news.
Had my cup of coffee and I'm listening to Area 51 security, and all of a sudden they get very serious. Locked down the base.
Arnu learned there'd been a large but totally secret air operation in the middle of the night and that something had gone wrong.
So we just had an asset go down. We had an asset go down. This is not Creech security, this is Area 51 security. And they had an asset go down. And then the next thing.
Yeah, clear. Also, short behind is a UAV, unmanned aircraft with ordnance.
He picked up details about strict security measures which were implemented almost immediately. Not only was Area 51 itself locked down, but within a very short time, so too was a large swath of the Tikaboo Valley. It became clear that some kind of craft had crashed miles outside of Area 51's boundaries on public land adjacent to Highway 375, also known as the ET Highway. Arnu jumped in his truck and headed south from his home in Rachel. But while driving on what's known as Mailbox Road, he ran into an armed patrol.
They had the gun in front of them, not pointed at me, but very visibly in front of them. And it was clear they meant business.
He backtracked and headed south on the ET Highway to Groom Lake Road, the main entrance to the base. It too was blocked off by sheriff's deputies and military security. A military helicopter with an attached basket was sitting there, presumably ready to haul out wreckage of something. A pair of porta potties suggested the team planned to be there for a while.
Almost the entire Tikaboo Valley was shut down.
At the Little Ailey Inn in Rachel, employees were in the dark about a crash, but saw the beefed-up security at closed-off roads and knew something big was unfolding. Crashes are not an everyday occurrence out here, but locals have seen plenty of them over the decades.
If this thing would have crashed anywhere in restricted airspace, in restricted area, we would have never known about it.
After being turned away from the presumed crash site, Arnu and the aerospace sleuths on his website, dreamlandresort.com, began gathering and sharing bits and pieces of information. The FAA had ordered the closure of airspace over a particular spot in the valley. That was a big clue. Then 4 days after the crash, the security teams vanished. Arnu went back out for a look. The Air Force had used heavy equipment to plow a dirt road across a section of desert. Arnu followed it and found what he thought was the crash site, then shared it online. That's when things got strange, even by Area 51 standards. A second wave of cleanup crews descended on the site, presumably to pick up any remaining debris, but they also used graders to cover the entire area with a thick layer of dirt, literally a cover-up. Creech Air Force Base, which is home to a fleet of Reaper drones and other UAVs, issued a statement explaining that the, quote, unmanned aircraft was one of theirs. The same statement claimed someone had been tampering with the crash site and had scattered assorted pieces from other aircraft, along with an inert training bomb. The Air Force said the FBI was investigating this alleged tampering at the site. Arnu was amused but not convinced.
The only thing they could get that person for is littering on public land.
That's the story, as it came from Creech and now the FBI is investigating. You think that's bogus?
That's absolutely bogus. I think that was designed to make people not go there.
Arnu drove back out and realized the site he first videotaped was a staging area, not the crash site. 200 yards away, the telltale burn marks on Joshua trees indicated this was where the object slammed into the earth. Both he and another aerospace explorer found pieces of who knows what, debris that came from something other than a drone, seemingly planted to confuse anyone who came looking. But they also found pieces under the dirt that are likely the real thing.
I'm pretty sure that this piece came off the actual aircraft.
Arnu, who was at the site of a genuine Reaper crash years earlier, says there's no way the Air Force could ever recover every piece of a crashed aircraft, so they added some dirt and sprinkled in some misdirection instead.
If I were them, I would probably do just that.
Is there a good guess about what crashed? On the Dreamland Resort website, members, including former military and retired defense contractors, chimed in. The leading theory is that the drone was one of a latest generation of AI-controlled craft that accompany advanced fighter planes and can act independently to get the job done.
The next generation air dominance project is the big thing at Area 51. So the pilot flies along and says, hey, there's a target on the ground, drone 1, go check it out, and if it's a bad guy, take care of it. And drone 1 goes and does the rest.
If the military wants to keep a secret about strange things that fall out of the sky, they have many tools at their disposal. Lock down the base, seal off the public land, put out a cover story, sprinkle some disinformation over the whole thing. Arnu says the middle-of-night operation that ended with the crash is one of the biggest he's ever heard of, nicknamed Black Flag. He has a good idea which hangar at the Area 51 base houses the unknown drones, but is not willing to say more. It is, after all, almost 3 years to the day since FBI agents kicked in the door of his home and carted away his computers and cameras. No charges have ever been filed. Back to you.
And George, what I really like to say is there's so much more behind a press release, right? That press release that came in, the first one that we talked about here, said it was an incident. Didn't even say it was a crash. Didn't even say what it was. So there, really shows you how investigative reporting can go a long way.
Like X-Files right in our own backyard.
And George wants to take Denise and I out there on a bus tour, so we are thinking about it.
Sign us up.
Hey, if you missed any of that report, don't forget you can always watch